I ran down from the hotel down to the temple, and at that wall I just had 5 minutes to pray, and I said, God, you need to hear me, you need to help me, I need your answer. And I heard a voice just behind me. I looked around, I saw no one, but I knew God had talked to me.
Victor from Norway was on a seminary trip to Israel for the first time. He was infertile and had been praying for many years to become a father.
I have always loved children, and not being able to become a father was really, really difficult to me. I think it was hard on my wife too, but she was more resilient than I was, so she early on got used to the idea and just accepted the fact we would not become parents. Then I got the opportunity to become a foster father. I was a teacher, and one of the children in my class needed a new place to live. And the children's services, they asked us to just take care of him for a short time. And during the years that followed, we had 4 children in Norway, long term. But it was still not my children. They always went back to their parents after a few years. So I couldn't cope with this, that I was not becoming a father. I started seminary when I had been married for 13, 14 years. I needed to get a deeper understanding of the Bible, and I wanted to go into ministry. So I went to seminary, and part of that was going to Israel. We went on a study trip to see all the places of the Old Testament, all the places of the New Testament, and 3 days we spent in Jerusalem. I remembered a promise that Solomon gave to all foreigners 3,000 years ago. It's in 1st of Kings, chapter 8, 3 verses only, 41 to 43. It says something like this. If someone, stranger from a country far, far away, comes to this place and asks you, God, who resides in the heaven, you will hear him and you will listen to him. You will do what he says, so that your name will become known all throughout the world. Now, I went to Jerusalem. I prayed the first night. Nothing happened. Next day we had time. I went back and prayed a long time the second day in Jerusalem. Nothing happened. The third day we were leaving early for the next place we're going to in Israel. So I went very early to the temple, or what remains of the temple, and I prayed 5 minutes. Then I heard a voice coming from behind, just like that. I thought someone was behind me, so I looked. There was no one. It was empty. The entire square was empty. But I heard a voice saying, "What are you praying about? Don't you know that what you're praying about, I've already given you that? You ask for a child, I've given you a child." And I knew it was God. And I sensed a peace that made me stop praying. I never went back to praying. This was very early in 1998 or 97. I'm not sure which year now.
You mean you never went back to praying about that?
Never went back to pray about that. I'd prayed for 14, 15 years about becoming a father. Never went back to pray. I had peace. Didn't need to pray. I didn't have the answer, but I got peace. God had spoken. Then God did something about the last part of this promise. 1 Kings 8:43, about his name becoming known all over the world. He called me and my wife to missions, and he sent us around the world to South America. Shortly after arrival, my wife became pregnant. It was impossible, but she got pregnant. She couldn't believe it. Really, I couldn't either, but we were so happy for this. Then she got sick. We lost a child. It appeared that the child was competing with tumors in her uterus. She had more than 20 golf ball-sized tumors in her uterus. Cancer killed her child. And I went to God and said, "God, you told me that I would have a child. An aborted child is not enough. It's just not good enough." I was going to God complaining my case. And God said, "Okay." After some time, the doctors told us we could try again. So we tried again, and very soon after she got pregnant. And Andrea, our daughter, was born from prayer. And she was physically born in April 2001. 3 or 4 years after I went to pray. I never went back to pray. But God gave me a child. I have one child, a precious daughter. She's 22 now.
Many years later, Victor would go back to Jerusalem, seeking healing from terminal cancer and believing in the very same promise.
And that was this promise. If I prayed at a wall or what remained of the temple, he would hear my prayer, he would listen to me, he would do as I said, and his name would become known all throughout the world. So I've been doing missions ever since. I'm going back to Colombia now again. And I'm not ending that until he takes me back to heaven. God answered prayer, not because of Jerusalem, but because he keeps his promises.